federal government, who is in charge of the financial ecosystem, has done their bit. I'd like to put it on record that I'm very glad that in Nigeria, the mortgage rate in Nigeria is below the inflation rate. Outside this country, in developed economies, the mortgage rate is usually higher than the inflation rate. In Canada, as we speak, the inflation rate is 2.25 in Canada. The mortgage rate in Canada, the minimum you can get is 4.5, which is double. You can be charged as much as 8, you can be charged 15% mortgage rate in Canada, depending on your credit history and credit rating. United States of America, you find also that the average mortgage rate is about 6%, which is twice the mortgage rate, the inflation rate. In Nigeria, as we speak, the inflation rate in Nigeria has come down to 14.45. The mortgage rate, the highest we have, which is 9.75 from MREF, Murphy Real Estate Investment Fund, is 9.75. Federal Mortgage Bank has two rates. Rent to own is 7%, and the NHF rate is 6%, which is less than half of the inflation rate. That speaks to the fact that there has been federal government intervention to bring the financial input into housing to be below the inflation rate. It's less than half of the inflation rate. They have subsidized the funding. The major problem is with the subnationals, who still see land as a means of income generation directly, unprocessed. That is raw, crude selling of land, not what the land can be processed by way of bringing in housing, and then you take in your own income out of it at the back end. So they still see land as income generation source, and that is a major disincentive to investors. Investors go to places where they have a very good ease of doing business, where they can be able to have this land and bring in their finance, because any investment they make in their land, they cannot carry it away as money again because it's already trapped. So they needed to have a very, very conducive operating environment in terms of land availability and land management and other issues associated with getting title. That is why, as we speak today, over the years, we've been pointing out to the fact that the subnationals are at the forefront of the challenge we have in effectively housing our people. As we speak today, we have 1 trillion available with the Murphy Real Estate Investment Fund, MREF. We have hundreds of billions available with Federal Mortgage Bank. But there are no products. There are no houses to mortgage. There are no houses because some of the time, the cost of the land is more than 2/3 of the cost of the structure itself, the building material that was used in those houses. That is a disincentive. And that is why at the beginning, when they had Professor Mabogunje Committee on Housing, we succeeded the Peter Odili Committee in 2002 under President Obasanjo. The decision was made, how can every party, the federal government reduce the cost of financing for housing, the state government reduce cost of land and transaction cost and transaction time on land. How can the people who want to own those houses cut down their expectations and start with where they can afford? And how can the entrepreneurs who are involved be able to be held down to a 15% profit margin in this? These were the 4 decisions so that the 4 parties, the federal government, the state government, the developers themselves, and the end users of those housing can be able to have an integrated cost reduction mechanism initiated. But that has not happened. The federal government have done theirs by putting out these mortgage opportunities, but it required the state government to do theirs by way of reducing the transaction cost and transaction time on land administration. If that is not done, it will still negate the principles. The cost of registering title for many of the people, when they buy their property maybe for 20 million, 30, 40 million. The cost of registration exceeds 30%. And that is not acceptable, that is not okay. And that's what we've been agitating at.
COPEN, building lives and structures.